In the aftermath of World War II, the world entered a new kind of conflict, one that wasn't fought only on the ground, but in the skies, at speeds faster than sound. This was the dawn of the jet age, a time when nations raced not just for territory or influence, but for dominance in the air. And at the heart of this race stood two of the most iconic Soviet fighters ever built, the MiG-15 and the MiG-17. These aircraft were more than machines, they were symbols of a nation's technological ambition and military pride. But what made them so special? How did one evolve into the other, and why do aviation historians still debate which was superior? The story of the MiG-15 and MiG-17 is one of innovation born from desperation, of rapid progress in the face of global tension, and of two aircraft that shaped decades of aerial combat. To understand their legacy, we must journey back to the late 1940s, when the Soviet Union, emerging from the devastation of war, sought to challenge Western air power, and succeeded in ways the world never expected. The MiG-15 was born in a time of secrecy and ambition. Designed by Artem Mikoyan and Mikhail Gurevich, the MiG-15 was the Soviet Union's first truly world-class jet fighter. Its sleek swept-wing design, a feature inspired partly by captured German research from World War II, gave it unprecedented speed and agility for its era. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Britain. In a surprising twist of post-war politics, the British government sold Rolls-Royce Nene turbojet engines to the Soviet Union, believing that sharing technology might foster goodwill. Instead, the Soviets reverse-engineered the Nene, producing their own version, the Klimov VK-1, which powered the MiG-15. The result was a fighter that could climb faster, fly higher, and outturn most Western aircraft of the late 1940s. When it entered combat in the Korean War, Western pilots quickly realized they were facing a formidable enemy. American B-29 bombers were suddenly vulnerable, and even the advanced F-86 Sabre struggled to maintain superiority. The MiG-15 became a symbol of Soviet engineering brilliance, and its success sent shockwaves through Western air forces. Yet as remarkable as it was, Soviet engineers were not satisfied. The MiG-15 was just the beginning. By the early 1950s, the world's skies had become laboratories of innovation. Dogfights over Korea had exposed both the strengths and weaknesses of the MiG-15. Soviet pilots admired its speed and climb rate but complained about stability at high speeds and limited control during sharp turns. The engineers at Mikoyan-Gurevich's design bureau took these lessons to heart, creating a fighter that would surpass its predecessor in nearly every aspect, the MiG-17. At first glance, it looked almost identical to the MiG-15, leading many to underestimate the differences. But beneath the skin, the MiG-17 was a new beast. Its wings were swept even further, to 45 degrees, improving high-speed performance and delaying the onset of dangerous transonic drag. It featured an afterburning engine, granting bursts of extra power and speed, an innovation that gave the MiG-17 a significant edge in close combat and intercept missions. The new aircraft could fly faster than Mach 0.9 and handle better at low altitudes, where many Cold War skirmishes took place. The MiG-17 didn't just replace the MiG-15, it perfected its concept. It was the evolution of Soviet jet design philosophy, simplicity, strength, and lethal effectiveness. The MiG-15 earned its reputation in the skies over Korea, but the MiG-17 would go on to prove itself across a wider battlefield, from Vietnam to the Middle East and Africa. While the MiG-15 stunned American pilots in the early 1950s, the MiG-17 was the one that matured into a global workhorse of Soviet-aligned air forces. During the Vietnam War, North Vietnamese pilots flying MiG-17s managed to hold their own, and sometimes even dominate, against much faster American jets like the F-105 Thunderchief and F-4 Phantom II. Using tight turns, quick climbs, and ambush tactics, these pilots exploited the MiG-17's agility in close-range combat, where radar-guided missiles were less effective. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Egyptian and Syrian MiG-17s fought in numerous engagements against Israeli jets, continuing the jet's reputation for resilience and lethality. Despite being considered obsolete by Western standards, the MiG-17's simplicity made it easy to maintain, rugged in harsh climates, and deadly in the hands of skilled pilots. The contrast between the MiG-15 and MiG-17 was striking. One was the revolutionary debut, the other the refined champion of Cold War dogfighting. At first glance, a casual observer might mistake a MiG-17 for a MiG-15. Both shared a similar fuselage, tail shape, and cockpit layout. But the differences were not just aesthetic, they were aerodynamic revolutions. The MiG-17's extended wingspan, with its sharper sweep and additional wing fences, dramatically improved airflow and control during high-speed maneuvers. The inclusion of an afterburner in the VK-1F engine gave it an extra thrust boost, allowing it to reach speeds close to the sound barrier, something the MiG-15 could not achieve reliably. The tailplane of the MiG-17 was raised to reduce airflow interference, while the air brakes and control surfaces were refined for smoother handling. These seemingly small adjustments transformed how the aircraft performed in combat. The MiG-17 also introduced improved radar gun sights and targeting systems, giving pilots more precision during engagements. Its heavier construction allowed it to dive faster without losing stability, an advantage in both defensive retreats and offensive dives. Where the MiG-15 represented the Soviet Union's entry into jet warfare, the MiG-17 demonstrated its mastery. It showed that Soviet engineers could not only innovate but also refine, a trait that would define future aircraft like the MiG-19 and MiG-21. Beyond their mechanical brilliance, the MiG-15 and MiG-17 carried enormous psychological weight. For the first time since World War II, Western pilots faced opponents whose aircraft could match or even exceed their own. The MiG-15's dominance in the Korean War forced the United States to accelerate the development of the F-100 Super Sabre and the Century Series fighters. The MiG-17 continued this pressure, proving that the Soviet Union could sustain technological parity with the West. NATO air forces re-evaluated tactics, training, and even missile design because of these aircraft. Every time a Western radar operator detected a blip moving like a MiG, it triggered a sense of caution and respect. These jets weren't just weapons, they were propaganda tools, symbols of Soviet strength that flew in parades and airshows across Eastern Europe and Asia. The simplicity of their design made them cheap to produce and easy to export, spreading Soviet influence across dozens of nations. In many ways, the MiG-15 and MiG-17 were the aerial ambassadors of the communist bloc, metal messengers that carried not just pilots but ideology across the skies of the Cold War. Today, the MiG-15 and MiG-17 occupy a special place in aviation history. They represent the transition from the subsonic to the supersonic era, from experimental jets to combat-proven war machines. Museums around the world proudly display these aircraft, their polished aluminum skin still bearing the iconic red star. For aviation enthusiasts, they are reminders of an era when courage, innovation, and rivalry shaped the destiny of nations. But beyond nostalgia, these jets tell a deeper story, one of evolution. The MiG-15 taught the Soviets how to fight in the jet age, the MiG-17 taught them how to win. Their shared lineage is a testament to how small improvements can lead to monumental changes in performance and strategy. Even decades after their first flight, they remain subjects of fascination, study, and admiration. So when we ask, MiG-15 versus MiG-17, which was better, the answer might not lie in raw statistics but in understanding their roles in history. The MiG-15 was the spark, the MiG-17 was the flame that burned brighter and longer. Both changed the skies forever. And perhaps the real question is, without them, would modern air combat as we know it even exist?